Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be decluttering my foundations. I've been putting off my foundation declutter for a really long time just because wearing foundation right now is super weird. You know, we really haven't been like wearing that much makeup, and then also like whenever you do wear makeup it's all messed up from your mask. But I do feel like my foundation preferences have changed quite a bit, so I'm really curious to see what I end up picking to keep and what I end up giving away. This is my foundation drawer. It is so full and you can barely see anything that is in here. I don't know what is going to happen here. I even have, this is not even all of it. I also have some in my top makeup drawer. So I have a lot of foundations to go through. I'm going to gather them all together and then sort them in some way. So this is, I'm pretty sure, all of the foundations that I have. This is overwhelming to look at. I find foundations to be really hard to go through because I have so many of them, and then I'm just seeing a lot of things that I haven't used in so long because there are so many other things that have come out. So I kind of feel like I'm gonna get rid of a lot of things just based on the fact that I haven't worn it in so long, and there are other new things that I'm really liking using. So I actually went ahead and just sorted them based on what I had, as in like pairs and stuff. There's a lot of foundations that I have more than one of just because I need more than one shade. I'm lighter in the winter time, darker in the summertime. Also, some brands don't have my exact shade, so I need to mix shades sometimes, which is a bit annoying, but you know, that's what we have to deal with makeup. Okay, let's start with a few things that I know that I am not going to be keeping. I don't think I'm going to keep this Cosas tinted face oil anymore. It is pretty old. I don't think I've loved it so much in the past either, so I think it's just time to let it go. Another product I'm going to get rid of is my MAC Face and Body. I have this in the shade C4. And I think that MAC recently reformulated and repackaged the MAC Face and Body. I also don't think that shade 4 matches me perfectly. So I think I would like to get this product again, but in a shade that matched me and in their new formula, and new packaging. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that I'm going to be getting rid of, I think, are going to be because of shade issues, and the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer is definitely a shade issue for me. I have it in the shade Sand, and I just don't think it works. I just don't think that this looks right on me, and I'm going to be passing it along. I really love my Perricone No Foundation Serum and my No Makeup Foundation. I really liked these for a long time, but it's been so long since I've used these, and there are just so many other products like this, so I'm going to be passing these along. I just don't use them anymore, and I hate that because these were super good, but yeah, I just am not finding myself reaching for these. I am unfortunately getting rid of all 3 of these Revlon Colorstay Light Cover foundations. I really wish brands would at least ask people before they send out PR what shade that they think that they might like in a product, especially if it's going to be foundation. Revlon sent me 3 shades that are so ridiculously light. I'm actually gonna swatch them for you. These are the 3 shades that Revlon thought would suit my skin tone. What? Revlon? What is going on over there? So yeah, unfortunately, because no one asks about shade preferences, all 3 of these foundations are going to go to waste. I'm hopefully gonna find like a new home for them, but that kind of stinks. And this definitely was a product that I thought I would have really enjoyed. Let's move on to some products that I definitely know I'm going to be keeping. My Rare Beauty foundation, I'm absolutely keeping. I have it in the shade 270N. It's a great shade match for me, and I love how it looks on the skin. I'm also keeping both of these shades in my 2-in-1 Absolute New York foundation. I have the shades Cool Beige and in Warm Sand. I think Cool Beige might be a good match for me like in a couple of months when we're a little bit deeper into the summertime. But yeah, I love these foundations. The brand is cruelty-free vegan and they're affordable, so I'll definitely link them down below. I'm also keeping my Bare Minerals Bare Pro foundations. I have the shades Pecan and Sable. Pecan I wear during the winter time, and then I'll end up mixing these two a lot as well. Sable is a bit too dark for me, I think, always, but I think there might be like a brief period over the summertime if I'm like outside quite a bit where Sable does work for me by itself. But yeah, these shades work great for me. I like mixing them together. I'm also definitely keeping my Fenty Beauty Eavesdrop foundation. I have the shade 11 in it, and I just love this Eavesdrop skin blurring tints. I just love them so much. They are really amazing. I think I'm gonna part ways with my Estee Lauder Double Wear foundations. I have the shades 4W3 and 3W1. I'm honestly not very familiar with these foundations anymore. It's been so long since I've worn them, but I'm not really as into full coverage makeup anymore, and I remember this being full coverage. I guess I could mix them together with like a moisturizer or something, but yeah, I think I am just going to get rid of these as well. Another really full coverage product that I think I'm going to part ways with is my Nars Natural Radiant Longwear foundation. I have the shade Barcelona in this foundation. I don't think it's a perfect shade match for me. I think it's really warm toned, and that is super duper noticeable in a foundation like this. This is probably the most full coverage foundation I've ever put on my face, and like that's super great for a lot of people that love full coverage, but I don't know. I don't think that the full coverage look is for me anymore, and I think I'm going to part ways with this, especially like I don't know where it is in my collection right now. I do like the Nars Soft Matte foundation. I don't know where it is. It's not in this pile, and I just remember that I have it. I do like that foundation quite a bit better than this one because it's not as full coverage. It's got a little bit more of like a natural look. This, even though it has natural in the name, it is so beyond full coverage. So if that's what you're looking for, definitely check out this foundation, but I think I'm going to part ways with it. I think for right now, I am going to keep both of my Urban Decay Stay Naked foundations. I really love this foundation. It's a great medium coverage foundation that looks very natural on the skin. I wore it all the time when I used to work at Ulta. I'm going to keep these for right now, but honestly, it's been really long since I've worn one of these. But I definitely think I'm going to start wearing makeup a bit more often. I'm not going to be working as much, and I just want to enjoy my collection again. So I'm going to keep this foundation. I have the shades 50NN and 41NN. 41NN works for me in the winter, 50NN works for me in the summer, and then I also like mixing these shades a lot too. So I'm going to keep both of these. I am going to keep my Fenty Beauty Hydrating Foundation. I have it in the shade 280. I do think I need a better shade match in this foundation, especially because there's so many. I know that my perfect shade is somewhere in the line. I do not think 280 is it though. I really like the shade 11 in the skin tint, but 280, there's something about it that I just don't really love as much. But I do think for now I am going to keep it. I love the finish of this foundation, and I like having a product like this in my collection. It's just like a nice, really dewy, beautiful, natural looking medium coverage foundation. I don't know what I am doing with all of these Ordinary foundations and serum foundations. I have 21Y in the coverage foundation and the serum foundation. I also have shade 21P in the serum foundation, and then 3.0Y in the serum foundation, and then 3.0Y in the coverage foundation. I just swatched the 3.0Y in the coverage foundation, and it's super duper yellow. So I think I'm going to get rid of both of these. They're really dark and yellow. So I swatched the rest of the colors that I have. The only one that I can see working a little bit is this one right here, which is the 21P, but I don't know. None of them look, I don't know, and that's like bleeding a little bit. I am just going to get rid of all of them. I have two shades of the Exa foundation. I really like this formula, and this is a clean beauty brand. The shade Michelle 300 works for me really well, but then I also have the shade 360 Oak Joe. Michelle's up here and Oak Joe is down here. Oak Joe's a little bit more yellow, but then also a little bit lighter than Michelle. So I am not going to keep Oak Joe. I am just going to keep Michelle. I don't think that there's going to be a point where Oak Joe looks good on me, especially when Michelle was looking good on me like kind of in the winter months, and I think it would look good on me right now too. So I have a lot of Undone complexion products. I have 3 of the Undone matte tints. I have them in the shade Latte Medium, Praline Medium, and then Sand Medium. Sand Medium was working for me in the winter months, but Latte Medium was never working for me. It is very, very light. I think I'm going to pass this along, but I'm definitely keeping Praline Medium and Sand Medium. I think together they mix up really well and look really nice, and then by themselves they also look really nice as well. And then as far as the glow tint, which I'm honestly not wearing as much since I just love the matte tint so much from Undone, I have the shades Almond Latte Medium and Latte Medium. I'm going to keep both of these shades as well, just because they do look good on their own depending on the time of year, and then they also do look good being mixed together. The Nars Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer is one of my favorite tinted moisturizers. It also has SPF. That is one thing that I wish the Undone glow tint or the matte tint had, was some SPF. The Nars Tinted Moisturizer has an SPF of 30. I have the shades Medium 2 and Medium 1. They both look good mixed together, and they both look good worn on their own depending on the time of year. But I just love how these look on the skin. They look so natural, and this is definitely a true tinted moisturizer product. I have 4 LYS foundations that I just cannot keep 4 of these. These foundations are huge. But right now I am definitely keeping the LYS foundations in the shades TG5 and MG5. Keeping both of these because I think mixed together they worked really well, and then worn on their own they will look good depending on the time of year. But then the other 2 shades of the LYS foundation that I had in TN3 and then MG2, these just did not work for me at all. This brand Vapor is really cool. It is a clean beauty brand that is actually on their way to being waterless, which is kind of cool, but they did gift me 3 shades of their stick foundation. I have the shade 220L, which is kind of like for highlighting, 245L, which is for my bronzing or contouring, and then 225L, which I chose for my face. But I love how this stick foundation looks. It is so natural looking and beautiful. It has like a light coverage, but it kind of looks like a veil over your skin. I definitely want to film with these, and they gifted me like a few other products. I attended a class that they had through the detox market, and it was a really cool experience. But yeah, I'm keeping all 3 of these. I really like them, and the shades work really well for highlighting, contour, and like my regular foundation shade. These foundations are from a newer brand called When Life Gives You Lemons. They made a foundation that's supposed to be good for sensitive skin, acne-prone skin. It is made with niacinamide, and it's actually very full coverage and very, very oil-free. Whenever I've worn this foundation, my skin has been matte with a capital M all day with this foundation, which if that's your thing, definitely worth checking out in my opinion. But yeah, they're a newer brand. They seemed really cool, but unfortunately I had a little bit of some issues with their shade range. Their shade range is pretty decent, like it's pretty decent for a new brand, but I suggested like a shade range within their range that I felt would work best for me, and they sent me a different range than that, and none of the shades happened to work. And then they sent me one other shade which was just a bit too dark. So right now I'm mixing 220 and 250. But yeah, check this out if you are running like a full coverage foundation. If you have acne prone skin or you're like really, really oily, definitely worth checking out. But work fast with this foundation. It dries very quickly. I am going to keep my Aeropress Oat Milk Foundation. I have this in the shade Caramel. I've actually used this a little bit on and off recently, and I've been liking it. I'm glad that I rediscovered it again. Aeropress has been kind of posting a lot on their Instagram lately, and it's been reminding me of the brand and the products. So yeah, I brought this foundation out again, and I've been liking it, so I'm definitely going to keep it. I have the Pacifica A Light Clean Foundation, and I have mine in the shade 26NM. I think it's 26 Natural Medium. But I have not really paid too much attention to this foundation, but I do want to do a full face of Pacifica at some point. So I definitely need to get comfortable with this foundation and use it. So I'm going to keep it. and I am actually going to switch it over to my top drawer because I definitely want to get some use out of this and form some opinions before my full face. I have 2 shades of the e.l.f. Camo Cc Cream. I have the shade 375N and then medium 330W. 330W is a little bit too warm and like a pinch too light for me. And then the next shade up, unfortunately, is 375N. I think that's the next shade up. But this one is just a bit too neutral pink and a little bit too deep. So together they actually make a pretty decent shade match for me. I just hate that I have to have 2 foundations in order to make a shade work for me. But yeah, I'm going to keep both of these because I do like how these look. I also think that these are a great drugstore option because it is SPF 30. You are getting a lot of coverage in this foundation and it also looks really awesome, but they really have got to expand their shade range, especially if it's going to be full coverage like this. I'm also going to keep my Causemetics CC Cream. I have the shade Medium Tan. This is something that I actually probably want to try and use up this summer, so maybe I will kind of put this aside for a like project pan kind of thing, but I'm definitely going to keep this. This is a great product. I used to sell so many of these back when I used to work at Ulta, and it is just truly a great foundation. Next, I have the Lancome Skin Feels Good foundation. I have this one in the shade 35W Almond. This is a pretty product, but it is pretty heavily fragranted, which I don't love for all over the face. And I kind of feel similarly about Lancome as I do Estee Lauder, where it's kind of like an outdated brand that's like just not super great. They don't really care about their consumers. They probably don't care about their employees. They're also still not cruelty free at this point, and it's just like an overall outdated brand. So I think I'm going to get rid of this product as well. It really makes me mad that the Neutrogena Radiant Tinted Moisturizer only has 3 shades. Like, that is just absurd. I have the shade Sheer Tan 30, and I honestly want to say that this is the darkest shade that they have. I do think that if you're a couple of shades darker than me, you could get away with wearing this shade, but like, come on, Neutrogena, come on. And this is a really good product, so I am going to keep it, but like, that is super annoying. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling mad at it. Like, should I declutter it? I'm gonna put this to the side. Another horrible shade range is from Honest Beauty. I have their, well, okay, like, I'm confused because 1, they have a tinted moisturizer, and then 2, they have a CC cream, but I think that this is supposed to be the same product. I don't really know, but I have one in the shade medium and one in the shade light. The tinted moisturizer medium shade is so dark, but I haven't fully tried out their light CC cream. I think it's like a perfect shade almost though. So that's light and that's medium. Medium would just be way too dark for me right now, and light does kind of look like it would be too light. Neither of these shades are going to work for me, which kind of bums me out because I really do like Honest Beauty, but I don't know, like, if these are just not going to work for me, then why should I keep them? Like, these won't look good. I know that probably, let me mix them together because that would probably be my perfect shade. Yeah, like, I would totally be able to make that work, but these shades just suck. Like, all of them just suck. I think I'm actually going to get rid of the Honest Beauty, the 2 Honest Beauty ones that I have, because they just do not work for me at all. But since the Neutrogena one is such a good shade match for me, I am going to continue using it and keeping it in my collection. I have the Oma Beauty Say What Weightless Soft Matte Foundation. I have this in the shade Honey Honey T1N. I like this foundation a lot. I think it looks really beautiful on the skin. I am definitely going to be keeping it. We're coming down to the last little bit of foundations that I have, and I'm just going to pull out a few that I know that I want to keep for sure. Wander Beauty Nude Illusion Liquid Foundation. I love how this looks. It is so beautiful, dewy, natural, thin. I love this foundation, and it is in the shade Golden Medium. I'm also definitely keeping my Sephora S Clean Glowing Skin Foundation. I really like this product. I think it looks beautiful on the skin. I use the shade 15 in it. Definitely keeping my Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydro Maniac foundation. Unfortunately though, the shade 50 medium is too light for me at the moment, but this did match me really well over the winter. So I'm going to keep this for when I'm a little bit lighter, but I might get a darker shade in this, or I'll just wait to wear it again. I have this Merit Stick Foundation in the shade Camel. I don't really know what I want to do with this or like any of my Merit products. I wasn't like all that impressed with the brand. They did send it to me as like a gift, also to become a part of, I think, like their ambassador program, but I just wasn't really that impressed with all of my products. Do I want to keep this for reference? I don't know. I think I might keep it for reference just because it doesn't take up that much space. You guys might want to see a stick foundation. I'm going to keep this foundation for now, but we will see in the future what I end up doing. The next foundation I'm going to keep is my Chantikai Future Skin Foundation, the oil-free gel foundation. I have it in the shade Shea, and I'm going to keep it. It looks beautiful. I want to get more use out of it. I actually might put it in my like top drawer so I can get more use out of it. But yeah, this is a great foundation and I definitely want to keep it. I also have my Thrive Causemetics Buildable Blur CC Cream. I have it in the shade medium. I think that the medium shade is a little bit too light for me, but I will keep it for mixing or wearing it in the winter time. I also might be able to get away with it right now. I'll just have to see, but I do want to keep this foundation. It is really nice. I have the Nudestix Tinted Cover Foundation in the shade Nude 6. I do think that I could actually go through this whole bottle as well, but the thing is, do I want to do that? Do I want to do that? I know that the skin tint does look really nice on the skin, but it's also really, really sheer, so I'm not really even sure that it'll be able to give me what I want. I don't know. I think I'm going to keep it for right now. I'm going to going to use it sometime this week and then decide. I am going to keep my Morphe 2 skin tint in Hint of Walnut. I definitely want to keep this for reference. I remember really liking the skin tint. I'm also going to keep the NYX Born to Glow Naturally Radiant Foundation. I have mine in the shade Medium Olive. I really like how this foundation looks. I think it's really nice on the skin. It looks really nice and natural and dewy and has pretty decent coverage. I have not worn my Smashbox Studio Skin 15-Hour Wear Foundation in so long. I have the shade 2.16 in this, and I remember working so hard to try and figure out a shade match in this foundation, but I just haven't worn it in so long. I feel like if I was going to go back to work at Ulta, I should keep this, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet. I think I might also put this foundation aside and wear it one day this week and decide then. The e.l.f. Foundation Serum is a classic. I have mine in the shade Medium Dark, and this is such a sheer foundation, but it's kind of nice like all over the skin, effortless base if you're doing like a really, really natural look. So I have the old packaging of the Milk Makeup Sunshine Skin Tint, and I wanted to see if I could like take this packaging apart and replace it with one of their new replacement tubes, but I don't think I can do that. And this is so beyond old, so I think I'm going to get rid of it and maybe in the future pick up a new Sunshine Skin Tint. This is the Revlon Candid Glow in the shade 350. I think this is a little bit too neutral peach on me. It's in the shade Natural Tan. I don't think it's a great shade match, so I'm gonna pass it along. These are the NYX Total Control Pro Drops, and I'm definitely gonna keep these. I have it in the shade Buff. I think it's a little bit light for me, but this is a good option for if I need to lighten a foundation, which sometimes I do need to do. So I'm definitely gonna keep these as like a mixing medium. Okay, we're getting down to the last few foundations. I'm kind of feeling like a little bit not attached to any of these, but I'm kind of like, do I want to keep them? Do I want to keep? This is the 3NA foundation in the shade 212, and this foundation looked really nice and beautiful on my skin, and I remember really liking this foundation for a small period of time, it looking really nice on the skin, but other things just came up and there were other products to try, and I haven't used this foundation in so long, so I think I'm going to pass it along. Next is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. I have this in the shade Camel Beige. I haven't worn this foundation in a really long time, but I think I am going to keep it just because it is a drugstore option. It's a nice full coverage drugstore option. And I also remember really liking the consistency of the foundation, it being like kind of nice and thin, but really full coverage. So I'm going to keep it. These two products, in my opinion, are pretty similar. I have the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover. I have it in the shade Sun Beige right here. Sun Beige is a pretty decent shade match for me, so I am going to keep it. I also do like the coverage and finish of the Dream Urban Cover, but unfortunately the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation is really light on me. It is in the shade Golden Beige 50. I don't think I can make this foundation work for me. It's super light and I could get a deeper shade, but I don't have a deeper shade, and I think I'm going to pass this one along just because the shade match doesn't work. Next, I have the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation. I have this in the shade Linen. I have no idea if this is a good shade match on me, but I actually think I'm also going to put this foundation aside and see how I feel about it. I think I'm going to kind of go through every day this week, have a new foundation that I try and decide whether it stays or goes. Next, I have the Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation. I have mine in the shade Catalina. I do know Ilia redid all of their packaging, and this foundation is a couple years old, so I am going to part ways with this. I just never use it, and I think it's kind of old at this point. My camera is going to die, so I'm going to try and do this like super quick. The Tarte Maracuja Tinted Hydrator in the shade Light Medium Neutral. I think I'm going to keep just because I don't have that much experience with it. I also have the Clinique Even Better Foundation. I have it in the shade WN38 in Stone. I hardly ever wear this foundation, and when I do, I am just never ever impressed, so I'm actually going to pass it along. I didn't think I was going to do that today, but I am definitely going to pass it along now that I thought about it. I don't think I like how the Beauty Bakery Instabake looks on me, this foundation. I have it in the shade 333N, but I think I'm going to put it up here as one of the foundations that I'm going to try again and then decide whether we're giving it away or not. The Bite Beauty Changemaker Foundation is a foundation I'm going to keep. I love how this looks on my face. I think it's blurring and it's got a really beautiful coverage and it makes my skin look flawless but really natural. I think it's really pretty. I just don't love that there's a fragrance to the foundation, but I think I can look past it because it's just so nice. I have the shade M70. And then as my fifth foundation that I'm going to try next week, I am going to try the Kat Von D True Portrait Foundation again. I have the shade Medium 42. And I really liked this foundation when I first got it, but I just honestly have not picked it up in so long. So I'm going to try it again next week and see if I decide to keep it or drop it. So that is the pile of foundations that I am keeping. This is the small pile of foundations that I am going to be trying out again to decide if I keep. And then this is the pile of foundations that I am going to be trying to find new homes for, but essentially getting rid of. Here's what my foundation drawer is looking like now. This is such a difference. Like, I can actually see every single foundation that I have in my collection now, and it is not like completely overflowing. And I also, like, I don't really want to add more, but I have room for more, like if I get sent any, but I really don't want to be buying any more foundations. I cannot go through them. But all of the foundations that are in this little basket are my lighter coverage foundations and just like tinted moisturizers and stuff. And then I have all of my more full coverage foundations over here, and then a little bit more like medium coverage, kind of like everyday foundations in the back. And then I also updated my little everyday makeup drawer with some newer foundations in this basket. I put the Tarte Maracuja Tinted Hydrator in here just to make sure that I actually use it. Oh, and then also my Pacifica foundation I put in here because I want to use it. By the way, this part of the video is being filmed a few days later, and I've tried out the KVD True Portrait and the Nudestix Tinted Cover. Unfortunately, I like them both. I'm wearing the Nudestix tinted cover right now, and it's looking pretty good. I'm not really oily. I did set it with a powder, but it's looking really good. And then my skin all day looked beautiful after using the True Portrait. So I'm going to keep them. But I still have to try out these. Follow me on my Instagram. I'm going to do a little update on Friday to kind of let you guys know like which foundations I'm keeping, which ones I'm getting rid of. Hopefully I get rid of something, but so far, I'm really liking these. So that's going to be it for today's video. I was kind of hoping to get to also like concealers, powders, all that in today's video, but this video was just getting too long. I will give you a little peek of my concealer, primer, and powder drawer. But I'm going to be tackling this as my next declutter. Don't know when that's going to be, hopefully soon. But yeah, subscribe if you want to be notified whenever that video is out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I see you next time.